So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON West Bhakti Sadan program, outpost of ISKCON Seshadripuram. So as always, we have been having this Bhakti Sadan program for the past 2.5 years, starting from verse number 1 in first chapter. Now we have come up to we have completed up to 9th verse of 6th chapter so far. Today we will be taking up verse number 6.1, 6.10 and 6.11 and 12. So basically we will cover 3 verses. 11 and 12 are together. So we will try to see these 3 verses today to understand some sections of Dhyana Yoga. 6th chapter is entitled Dhyana Yoga. Let me share the screen. Six point 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirasai aparigraha. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirasair aparigraha. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirasir aparigraha. Word by word translation. Yogi, a transcendentalist, yunjita, must concentrate in Krishna consciousness. Shatatam, constantly. Atmanam, himself, by body, mind and self. Rahasi, in a secluded place. Stitaha, being situated. Ekaki, alone. Yata chitta atma, always careful in mind. Nirasir, without being attracted by anything else. Aparigraha, free from the feeling of possessiveness. Translation: a transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Purport: Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna and the super soul is the all-pervading partial expansion of Krishna. Thus, the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna conscious. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalists and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herein to be constantly engaged in their particular pursuit so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feeling of possessiveness. All these perfections or precautions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness, because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation, wherein there is very little chance for material possessiveness. Srila Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness in this way. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayanjutaha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. Prapanchik kataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mumukshubhihi parityago vairagyam plagu katyate. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.255 and 256. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feeling of personal possession. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental, and he is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi. Let's look at the next two verses. Verse number 11 and 12. Suchau deshe pratishtapya stiram asanam atmanaha nati uccaritam nati nicham chailagnya kushottaram tatraikagram manah kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasena yunjyad yogam atma vishuddhaye. Suchau deshe parityapya stiram asanam atmanaha nati uchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram tatraikagram manah kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasena yunjyad yogam atma vishuddhaye. Suchau, in a sanctified deshe, land, pratishtapya, placing, stiram, firm, asanam, seat, atmanaha, his own, na, not, ati, to, uchritam, high, na, nar, ati, to, nicham, low, chaila ajina, of soft cloth and deer skin. Chaila ajina, of soft cloth and deer skin. Kusha and kusha grass. Uttaram, covering. Tatra, thereupon. Eka agram, with one attention. Manaha, mind. Kritva, making. Yata chitta, controlling the mind. Indriya, senses. Kriyaha, and activities. Upavishya, sitting. Asane, on the seat. Yunjyat, should execute. Yogam, yoga practice. Atma, the heart. Vishuddhaye for clarifying. Translation: to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Purport: sacred place refers to places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, or the devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayaga, Mathura, Vrindavana, Rishikesha, and Haridwar, and in solitude practice yoga where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganga flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brahma Naradiya Purana, it is said in Kali Yuga, the present age or Iron Age maybe, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva Gatiranyata. In the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurudmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dheena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suthe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarine. Hari Om Tat Sat. So let's just quickly read only the translation once more. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relation with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desire and feeling of possessiveness. The next one, to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses and activities and fixing the mind on one point. So this is the qualification for someone who's to actually practice yoga. So if you really see, you understand why we keep on every time we talk about the modern day yoga, we always have some kind of sometimes people may think it is criticism. We don't criticize, but then we are only pointing out that yoga means should be done like this. So this is not something which we are saying, right? This is Krishna who is saying. We are reading this in Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna is specifically saying what are the qualifications for performing the yogasana through the Ashtanga yoga process. So what does it say? The specific qualifications are that one should so he should basically engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. That means the yoga is to connect to what? Connect what? The mind, intelligence and all activities. As per this verse, it is talking about a few things. Engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. Connect it with the Supreme. And then it says he should live alone in a secluded place. That's the next important thing. Nowadays, I saw, I was seeing some thing today in the television where, yoga, there are 1,000 people sitting together and doing yoga. Right, so, okay, again, I'm not criticizing, but what is the correct way of doing it? One should sit in a secluded place. Secluded means where there is no disturbance, there is not many people who can distract your attention in secluded place. And should always carefully control his mind. The objective of the yoga practice is to control the mind, not anything else. Not for improving your digestion or improving the weight of the body or for anything else. It should be for controlling the mind, and that controlling of the mind is to engage the mind, body and the soul itself in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was already mentioned there. And should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. That is the other side of it. The idea of controlling the mind to connect with the Supreme is to understand who am I. That understanding is I am spirit soul, I have got nothing to do with the matter. Therefore, one should be in a position to not have attraction or not have a feeling of possessiveness to material objects or material things. This is the first verse. Further requirements are there which have been described in the chapter 11 and 12, which is, again it is mentioned here, one should sit in a secluded place. And then what is the other requisites? One should have kusha grass, not the yoga mat. What it's a good business happening, right? Buy the yoga mat. Yoga mat, everybody has a rubber mat. It should be a kusha mat. And on that kusha mat, a deer skin and a soft cloth are placed. And that asana should neither be too high, neither be too low. It should be in a mediocre height. And then he should sit on it and practice yoga again to purify the heart by controlling his mind. Krishna is again mentioning, what is the purpose of all this? To sit and purify our consciousness, our mind, intelligence and false ego, senses and also the senses. That means the entire body consisting of the five senses, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the activities are to be fixed. Also mind, senses and activities, and fixing the mind on one point. So this is the process of doing Ashtanga yoga. So now if you, maybe in going forward, there are other definitions of how yoga should be performed. But even these basic requirements, how many of us will be able to fulfill? Now if you, when you are reading through the purport, Prabhupada is talking about, where some of the places were mentioned, right? Basically in when you say places of think basically in places of pilgrimage, or like Prayaga, Mathura, Kasi, or any basic dham which is really purified, sanctified of the consciousness. Sanctified does not mean just a clean place, right? Sanctified place means the pollution, we, material sense we call pollution, right? If something is, not good, then we say it is not, it is polluted. But here yoga is to control the mind, and all of these are subtle things, and that is in relation to the consciousness, not simply only the environment where you are seated. So it's why the clean place is nicely swept, nicely watered, all that is also very, very, very important. But beyond that, it is also about the consciousness of that place. Therefore, in places like this Prayag, and where the consciousness is actually aligned with the Supreme. If you go to those places, there are so many great saintly personalities. They have left their home. They are simply living there in pursuit of self-realization. That consciousness, that atmosphere, that vibration is completely different. In such a place, when we are able to sit and perform, practice yogasana, then it is very favorable. So that is there. Now let's look at some other aspects of it. So here, if you say there is, some initial stages of Ashtanga yoga. We saw the other day also that there are many requirements. There are 8 different things, and within that also the neophyte yoga practitioner and the advanced yoga practitioner. Achyuta Prabhu gave a class last week and he spoke on those aspects as well. Now, so this will be like, when you are talking about the initial neophyte stages. Now, there again, the realization may not be perfectly at the Bhagavan level. The realization may be at the Brahman level. Not realization, even the objective may be simply Brahman realization, or at the most Paramatma realization. If you remember, one of the weeks, Mataji is not come today. The daughter is having examination, I think. So she was asking this question. I was thinking Paramatma and Krishna are the same, right? Or God and Paramatma are the same. So here that definition is also given. Prabhupada slightly touches upon it. Paramatma is one of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paramatma is same, but it is not the original. So that is important. When you are in yoga, the idea is to focus inside and connect with the Paramatma sitting inside our heart. Connection, yoga means to connect, and that connect is to connect to the Paramatma sitting inside the heart. That's why they are actually trying to go inwards, half closed eyes. The idea is not to look outward, but to look inward. When you look inward and when you are perfecting the Ashtanga yoga, you are supposed to see the Paramatma. In fact, sometime someone was asking Prabhupada, like, the artist who was drawing for Bhagavatam, right? Then she was asking one of these kind of verses where Paramatma is there. Then she asked, how should I draw Paramatma, Prabhupada? So then Prabhupada was smiling. So you want to see Paramatma? Like that. Then he was saying, it is not easy to take darshan of Paramatma. It takes a lot of effort to be able to see Paramatma. And then he said, I will tell you in 2 minutes time how is Paramatma. And then he explained how Paramatma. And then he said, the Paramatma is standing is in a standing position in the region of the heart. That means he is standing in the region of the heart, and that same Paramatma is pervaded in every jiva. Every jiva, you know. So that's how the Lord understands everyone's mind. So, for example, the field of activities, if you go further down, I don't know, 10th, 11th chapters that will come, the field of activities, you and I know the field of activities within this body, that too not fully, only partially, right? We don't even know when we have manifested some diseases. We know only after the symptoms have taken effect. We don't even know that, you know, we have some major catastrophes happening inside that. There are some symptoms which develop after that. We go and investigate, right? We do so many reports, blood report, this report, that report, MRI, whatever, ECG, so many things. Then we come to know. We are not even cognizant of our own body fully. Now, where is the question of us understanding the other person or the other, so many other people, like, you know, but if you see the Lord, he is aware of all the bodies that are there, innumerable bodies that are there, right from the amoeba to this, the biggest, maybe the whale is the biggest animal in this planet, possibly, right? Right from an amoeba or a unicellular or whatever cellular organism to the biggest one, the whale. Inside all of this, there is the jiva who is only cognizant of that small body. It could be the size of the amoeba or it could be the size of the blue whale, whatever. But beyond that, they have no understanding. They have no knowledge. But the Lord is cognizant of every body that is there. How he is able to do that? Because he is able to expand inside every Atma there and sitting right next to the soul. Therefore, as the soul is thinking, the Bhagavan is able to understand what he is thinking. So many times we say this, right? I was thinking of you and suddenly you called me. Paramatma connection, we are saying this, right? So many times we say that, sometimes, so many times. Oh Prabhu, I was just thinking of you and you are calling me. How is it possible? Because the Paramatma is sitting in your heart and in my heart also. So that Paramatma is immediately telling, you know, Vidra, Achyut Prabhu is thinking of talking to you. Then immediately, you know, something tells me in my mind that I need to call up Achyuta Prabhu. You know, so many times it happens. And so many times, even people who don't believe in God and all that, you know, they are able to sense some of these things that, you know, how come, you know, these things. Then they call it telepathy. They say, right, the mind power, the mind is able to think and then draw the attention of the other person and all that. Mind has capacity. Mind does have some capacity. But the ultimate of that is the connection with the Supreme. The Supreme actually is sitting in everyone's heart and giving us directions. Sometimes some people call this as, what do you call? In Kannada, I don't know what it is. You say, you know, consciousness, right? Or in Tamil, you say manasachi. That means your mind will tell. But we say it is the mind. But it is actually the two, the soul and the Lord, the Paramatma, they are sitting together in the heart. The Lord is not at all connected to the body, but the soul is thinking, I am the body. See, both are spirit, the soul as well as the super soul. That means Paramatma. But somehow, the soul is identifying itself with the body, but the Paramatma is not identifying with that body. And the Paramatma, so many people ask, you know, oh, how come this, like, you know, how do I know what I did in the previous Janma, and how do I know I need to, therefore, the karma connects me to do this, how I am impelled to do some things. How is it that, you know, I do certain things while the same situation another person doesn't do? Now, that means here the Paramatma is been with me even in my previous body, he is also with me in the current body. I cannot remember what happened in the previous body, but the Paramatma remembers what happened in the previous body. So, he understands the why I have taken birth in this particular body and what are my desires. You understand? Desires means my karma. Whatever I created, by my desire, I am creating my next body. If you see, why are some people very beautiful, some people who are not so beautiful, some people who are very rich, some people who are not very rich. Now there are various permutation combinations here. Now how is that possible? That means we have desired for something, and to enjoy that we have got this facility to come out here and experience that particular thing. Through whatever actions we have performed, we are getting the resultant. But thing is, we do not remember that action, but the Paramatma is sitting right next to you and he is actually encouraging you. Okay, Baba, you know you wanted to enjoy this. Now you have got a favorable body to enjoy that. Come on, go and enjoy. I mean, not that he is actually pushing us to do that. He is facilitating because he has got so much love for you. Just like a father has got so much love for the child, he will tell, hey, child, you know, this is not okay, it is not good for you. But if the child keeps rolling on the road and, you know, crying and making such a halla gulla, then the father says, okay, if you want to learn it the hard way, I will, you know, facilitate, right? You know, so many times, many fathers, even though they tell them, you know, don't do it, but beyond a point, you say, okay, let him learn, I will, you know, yield. Like that, Krishna is very merciful, okay, because see, nothing comes by force, right? Love is not forced on anybody. Nobody can be forced to like the other person. It is our own voluntary submission to the other person that, you know, I actually love you. That is the same with us, with Krishna, that he will not force us to say, you accept me as the authority. No. It is us who have to realize that, oh my Lord, I realize that I am actually only a small spirit soul and I am part of you and I am always a subordinate to you, and therefore I have unconditional love for you. So it is not like this, you know, where you force a person to like you. It should come naturally. And Krishna is the last person to force anybody. So he is very merciful. Okay, if that is what is your desire, I will fulfill it. So he's that, what do you call it? That's why Krishna is so merciful, so merciful. Sometimes even if we are struggling, that struggle is also something which I only wanted. Right? You know, it's sometimes very difficult to understand or accept. But that is the truth. And therefore, Krishna does not want you to struggle, but because you are forcing him, you means including me, right? You know, all of us. That we are forcing him to allow us to struggle. And therefore, he is looking with so much, what do you call, sadness in his heart. When will this friend of mine actually realize that he is in misery? When will he look towards me and take my direction? Sitting in your heart, he is always thinking. It's there in Bhagavatam, it's there in Bhagavad Gita. There are two birds sitting. One is like this and the other bird is like that. And the day this Jiva bird is able to look at his friend and say, now my dear friend, how is it that you are like this? I just want to simply surrender to you and be like you. And from then on, then the transformation happens. Till such time, he's sitting next to him, he's not talking. Just like in our own families, right? Mostly husband and wife are there, maybe children are there. How are we related? You know, initial days, maybe, you know, so much talks are happening between the husband and wife. After a point, you know, either both ways, it's not just the husband or the wife, but then, you know, the other person does not even look at the partner when they come home. You know, they are just doing their job. And then when they say something, the man is so busy or the woman is so busy with the television, you know, they don't even hear what he or she is saying. And then after 10 times, then the other person shouts a little bit, then, oh, you know, like that, you know, we come to this point. Same with children, right? You know, the children are very eager to talk to the parents. Today's parents have no time, right? They are so busy with either their phones or with their office work or with to catch up with the news and the television and whatnot, and then their friends. So many things are going around. So it's very little time we have. But Krishna is not like that. He's simply waiting. When can this friend of mine listen to me? I'm just waiting. We get frustrated and we leave the person, right? We get frustrated and leave the person sometimes. Or we shout, we fight. But Krishna is not like that. To the extent that, next Janma, for example, if I have to become a pig, whatever, you know, my nasty karma, I become a pig. Even there, Krishna does not leave me. Why should Krishna come inside a pig? You know, a pig is not very, the smell of a pig inside and outside is so bad. But Krishna tolerates that and comes and sits inside that pig also as a super soul inside that pig. Because I have gone and sat in a pig body. My friend is sitting there, he is also coming and sitting with us like that. I'm still waiting. When will this fellow look at me and then give up this thought that he is this body? So this yoga is basically for us to connect to that Supreme Lord, Paramatma sitting inside our heart, and then start trying to understand from him what is actually me, what is my actual position, and what have I got to do with this material world? What is my role here? Or what, if at all, what should I do next? These kind of instructions are actually then available from the Paramatma. He can immediately, the same Paramatma will immediately connect us to the spiritual master. And the spiritual master will open our eyes. Chakshur urminitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. The spiritual master will open our eyes from the ignorance. Unmilitam yena tasmai Unmritam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. The one who opens my eyes to such a great personality, I pay my obeisances. That's how this initial, whatever prayers that we say is that. So Krishna immediately shows you the path. He gives you the Guru. Therefore, that Guru is even more higher than Krishna, because he is the one who is connecting you to Krishna. That link to us, between us and Krishna, is that Guru. And of course, Krishna is sitting right next to our heart and giving this kind of instruction. He is telling me how you can do this is just surrender to this pure devotee of mine, and he can actually bring you back to the spiritual world like this. Now let's look at some other points that has been discussed. And Prabhupada here is always contrasting. If you see, Prabhupada is always contrasting what is this procedure given here versus what is the benefit of simply following Bhakti Yoga, right? Now, so that's the beauty. So Prabhupada very intelligently gives the ultimate aim of all of this Bhagavad Gita, reading all the Bhagavad Gita, understanding, coming to a very good knowledge, is for what purpose? Is to understand Krishna. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedyaha. That is the purpose of understanding all of these things. And therefore, Prabhupada in every verse is able to connect us to that aspect of Bhakti Yoga through which we are able to quickly connect to the Lord, not to follow so many different difficult processes. We saw how difficult these processes are. But there are some who may still want to go through this process. That's why he said, there are some who are actually looking at the divine as the Brahma Jyoti, the all-pervading, powerful light, right, which is there as the Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti. That Brahmeti, that small portion, which is basically in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Brahma Jyoti is nothing but my effulgence. And many of the acharyas have spoken, not just in our Sampradaya, in Sri Sampradaya, in every Rudra Sampradaya, everybody is saying, pure devotees of the Lord, they are saying, oh my Lord, please remove the covering of this effulgence so that I can see your beautiful face. I am able to see that dazzling light in front of me, and it is blinding me, and I don't want to simply see that blinding light. Please remove that light and show me your Shyam Sundar Roop, Shyam Sundara form, that beautiful form of Krishna, which has a beautiful flute in his hand, and he is standing in that three bent form with Radharani. So that is the original form, and that powerful personality who is situated in every heart, in trillions and trillions of heart, how powerful he should be. And he naturally has an effulgence, right? What we call effulgence in Tamil, what do they say this? Tejas, Tamil or even Sanskrit, they say no, Tejas. That man, some people always, how Tejas he looks. He's very effulgent, very bright. That Tejas is there in the Lord, which is basically that Brahma Jyoti. And then, of course, so there are some people who can't relate to a form of the Lord, and therefore they look at the Brahma Jyoti or as the supreme power. But there are others who are able to look at the Lord, but they don't want to see anywhere outside, they want to see inside their heart. And for them, the Paramatma feature. But the Bhagavan feature, or the original feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the highest. One who knows the highest knows everything below. Right? This is simple logic, right? For example, this is Prabhupada used to say, like, if there is a big building, a big skyscraper that is there, now you may not know everything of that skyscraper, right? How many rooms are there, how many square feet is there, what all facilities are there sitting. But if you know the master of the skyscraper, the one who constructed it, one who is the owner of the skyscraper, then it is as good as you know about this also, because you can always get that information about this building from him, right? Any knowledge is possible if you know the original origin of that knowledge. Not that we need to store everything at this point in time, but if we need to know, we know what is the source. We can straight away be having that information, because Krishna will give that information to us, because Krishna is the original source of everything. So this other day also we were discussing the story of one Muni, very powerful yogi who came, and then this king who is a devotee, he is powerful militarily, but he does not have any yoga powers. So this rishi is wanting to give curse to the king, because he has a lot of power. You can give curse and that curse will work. But this devotee, he does not have any of these personal powers like a yogi. But he is not bothered, because he is simply surrendering to, oh Krishna, now this Muni is attacking me with this yogic power. I have no power, please help me. And Krishna sends his Sudarshana Chakra. And the yogi is running. And he even goes up to Vishnu and says, now your chakra is coming to kill me, please help me. But Krishna says, I can't withdraw this chakra. That is at the mercy of the person whom you offended. Just go back to him and seek his forgiveness. And then he comes running back to the king and he pays obeisances and says, forgive me. And then when he forgives him, then the chakra. Here what I am trying to say is that king is not having any powers, but he knows the person who has all the powers. The biggest yogi is Krishna. Yogeshwara Krishna. Krishna is mentioned. Yogeshwara Krishna. He is the biggest of yogi. And his power, he can always lend it to you if there is a need. So Prabhupada says, Prabhupada has performed many miracles, but he has never done any yoga. So Prabhupada says, I don't have any specific powers. But if Krishna wants to exhibit a power through me, he does it. It's not that, I have powers. You can see many times, Prabhupada, if now we go into this Prabhupada Leela, we can go for hours together. Right? There was one simple example I will give you. Once, somewhere from Kerala or somewhere, Prabhupada was coming. And there were many other devotees with him. I mentioned it long time back. So Prabhupada was coming, and there were many devotees. It was very hot summer. And they were all standing in a railway station waiting for the train to come. And then devotees were all doing nice big kirtan on the platform only. And everybody were so tired and thirsty. So one devotee said, therefore let's get some, tender coconut. So they get a tender coconut, and then the devotee immediately breaks that. How big is a tender coconut? You just breaks it and then gives it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, please have this tender coconut. And Prabhupada honors tender coconut. Few gulps he has. Then he says, okay, you pass it on. Then this person first drinks. Then he drinks, because everybody is so thirsty, big kirtan, summer time, dancing, kirtan. So tired, he drinks like this. Then he passes it on to the next, like that. The entire, everybody is getting unlimited flow of tender coconut from that coconut. And they were all surprised how much this much is coming. After everybody is finished through their thirst nicely, they are looking inside, there is more tender coconut, water, coconut water inside. And then they give it to another bystander there and you say, you drink this water. And Prabhupada was smiling away, seeing all these things, So it's not like, Prabhupada, if you ask for if Prabhupada did any specific magic, Prabhupada says, hey, what magic? You are seeing me only chanting Hare Krishna. What yoga I am doing? Nothing. But Krishna, if he is pleased, he creates this magic through these pure devotees. So this is very important. Therefore, for devotees, we do not try to understand, oh, how do I do this yoga? How do I do this yoga? Okay, sometimes, maybe you have a back problem, for you are not able to sit nicely and chant Hare Krishna. Maybe, you will do a few yogas here and there to do these things. But it's more of a mechanical exercise rather than that. Through that process, you will be able to connect to Krishna. That is not required at all. You simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's the one aspect which I thought I will cover today. Then, because once a person is devotee, there whatever is mentioned, right, the ultimate objective of a yoga practice is to control the mind, the whatever, intelligence, the body, everything, and connect it to that person, Krishna, or the super soul, right? But in Bhakti Yoga, what are you doing? You are doing various activities. You are all the time engaging your senses already in Krishna. There's nothing that, you need to, you are so busy learning nice, what do you call, bhajan, or learning a kirtan, or, learning a musical instrument, or trying to read a book. There are hundreds of books that Prabhupada personally has written. There's so much to read and understand. You are engaged in that activity. Or sometimes, like our Achyuta Prabhu, Amarendra Prabhu, okay, Prabhu, okay, why don't you manage one service? So every day morning, Achyuta Prabhu, 6:30, whether, he's well, not well, whatever it is, he gets up 6:30 to 7:30, he runs a show. For 4 people come, 5 people come, 8 people come, no people come. He's sitting and chanting himself with a Zoom in front of him. Now, what is this? This is yoga. So it may not look like, yoga means controlling the mind, the instinct to sleep. He's forgoing that, he's getting up and sitting there in front of the Zoom, encouraging the devotees, facilitating everything like that. Amarendra Prabhu, evening, come what may, 7:30 to 8:15, he has to log in and read Srila Prabhupada books. How many come, how many don't come, we don't know, right? But he doesn't. This is yoga, right? And now how was he sitting at that time? I don't know. But doesn't care. I don't care. Because his mind is engaged in doing this service. And that is connecting with the Lord. Now think of this. This is a very simple thing. Like look at our own Gopesh, right? Come Ekadasi, before that he is sitting and making a YouTube video. A small child, okay, he's now taller than me, but still he's a kid, right? But he's struggling to make that video. His grandmother tells me, oh, Gopesh puts so much effort into making the small video. Whatever, I was showing her the video, what he made. This is the outcome and we are all benefiting from that video. But then this child is putting so much of effort into that, and that is yoga. Connecting directly with the Lord, putting that effort into the Lord. It's very easy. It doesn't have to come, put in so many efforts like Ratik. I was told many times he will, around the apartment, he will do kirtan by himself. Sometimes some of his friends also he will call and make them come, whatever, in his own way, he will have a kartal, do kirtan. Now that is yoga. What is so different? That means you are already connected without having to do any specific bodily exercise to control the mind. Now as we get deeper, you prepare for classes, you focus on organizing things for Krishna. How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do that? 24/7 you are already engaged. Then where is the specific activity to engage the mind? Nothing. Just engage the mind in doing whatever you do best. Simply you like eating, cook for Krishna. That's all. If you are so much interested in that samosa, in that ice cream, whatever, immediately take your this one, start cooking, offer it to Krishna. That exercise has become completely yoga. Nothing else is needed, right? Mataji's early morning you can do yoga while you are also sending your son to school, but that is also yoga, right? You are preparing prasadam for Krishna, and that prasadam you are feeding to your child, and that is yoga. Can you sit and do yoga from 5 to 7 every day in the morning? Never possible. But here this is yoga because your mind is already connected to Krishna. All your simple change in mind that, am I making this dish nicely for Krishna's bhoga? Over. If you have that mood and you offer that to Boga, naturally that becomes as prasada and your children are going to enjoy that food, right? So you are anyway putting the salt correctly, everything correctly for your children, but at least think it is for Krishna and prepare, then it becomes yoga. So this is very, very simple and practical, possible. And again, the question of in Kali Yuga, where is our time, where is our intelligence, where is our mind, where is anything? Nothing we have. Then neither do we have age in our side, neither do we have any knowledge of any Sanskrit or a lot of Upanishads, this Veda, that Veda. None of us have any time, knowledge, anything that we have to understand all these things. So where is the time? Simply chant Hare Krishna. That's the ultimate purpose of doing all that. Vedaischa sarve raham eva vedyaha. So if you already know that and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, what more is the need? So that is being discussed. Is there anything else which I should say? Let me quickly check. That is what is the, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchyate. That means, are you able to dovetail everything in Krishna's service? That's all. Right? He says, no, here yoga you should do. You should not have a sense of possessiveness. Right? But here, when you do it as a service to Krishna, it is not yours, it is Krishna's. That mood is already there. Haribol, Pranesh? A second. That mood is already there. That, this is, I told in the case of Prasadam offering, earlier I was thinking I am making for my child, my husband, or if men is cooking in a house for my wife, people think like this. But if you are able to dovetail it to say, I am making this bhoga for Krishna. Anyway, your child and your husband or your wife only are going to eat what you are making. But if you are able to think, I am making this for Krishna, then there is a transformation. Dovetailing all your activities for Krishna's service. Then it is perfect yoga 24/7 already. Consciousness has to clear. Like one devotee was asking, I am working in a corporate world, but how do I know Krishna? But if you see TV, when you are seeing TV today, any interview is happening, they have a big jug of whatever it is, I don't know. Every time then he will be drinking, right? Assume it is water, like Bisleri water or whatever water. Krishna says, I am the taste of water. So every time we drink, can you not think, oh Krishna, you are the taste that I am actually tasting? Then your activity is transformed into Krishna conscious life or bhakti yoga. Right? So in office, they are working, any pressure is there, oh Krishna, instead of saying ayayyo or whatever English we use, right? Hell or, some yes word. So many people have different B word, bull, so many things we keep saying. But every time you can say, oh Krishna, I am worried, I don't know, I have to meet my boss. Oh Krishna, this fellow is troubling me. Oh Krishna, a lot of tension for me. How can I manage this? Mind can always think, right? It's not at all difficult. But when we are in that state, you are in yoga. There's nothing extra that we need to do. Simply do whatever you are doing, but dovetail it in Krishna's service. Yukta Vairagya. That's what it is. Says dovetail all your activities in the service of Krishna. And that is perfect yoga. Right? Sometimes people fall also. Think Krishna. Actually, many times while that also becomes transcendental, but we are also saved from the fall actually. These are all facts. To a great extent, what would have otherwise become a bad injury would have been nothing, either nothing or very little. These are all things which we can experience ourselves. So therefore, I think I have now covered whatever Prabhupada has given. So, best thing is to see how we can dovetail whatever our interests are. Of course, there is this 4 basic things of reading, chanting, associating with devotees, and prasadam, A, B, C, D. Association, books. C is what? Chanting. And D is diet. That means prasadam. So if you are able to do these four things to begin with, and then progressively take up more and more activities that we normally do only in relation to Krishna, then we can come to higher and higher activities or focused activities for Krishna. I've personally experienced these things. There have been times when I have to work for 18 hours in office. So it's so much of a struggle, but it has always, you just, how I can manage this, Krishna, I don't know, you please manage it for me, I will put in the effort. In that mood you keep on working. But Krishna also makes a time. Then he made a time also for me that, I have a lot of free time to do whatever I want to do in spiritual life, to manage so many things. So many people say how you are managing. But then Krishna makes it all possible. Because you have a desire, Krishna will make it happen. Very, very clear. Because I talked about who that person is, not an ordinary man. If he can sit in everybody's heart, he can also sit in the heart of the person. He is also sitting in the heart of the person who is troubling me. And he can also guide him in a way that, he does not trouble me. This is all actual fact. You just have to have that conviction, and Krishna will make that means that surrender. That, it's not about me, it's about you, Krishna. Then everything will automatically become like, yesterday we were reading for my Tamil Bhagavad Gita class, Saturday evening we were giving that. We saw this thing. What is that? Suddenly flashed out of my mind. It went off my mind. Anyway, that is also Krishna's whatever, He doesn't want me to say something, he can make me forget things. So it's also the wish of Krishna. Okay, so now I stop here, and we will, if there are any questions, any comments, welcome, and we can take it forward from there. Hare Krishna. Too much gyan went over the head.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I think some of the very simple things that you talked about in the end, right? Whatever you do, have God, have Krishna in your mind in the way you do it, right? So I was just literally thinking of myself in office, and so many times you just catch your head and you did use the words, but very choicy words that we've used and stuff, right? But how it changes the mood when you think of the divine in a different way. And I've seen this myself, right? It just makes a change. The whole environment, the whole room that you're sitting in actually has a very, very big difference, right? So thank you for mentioning that. Really, I know it's a very small thing, but we tend to forget in the chaos of things, but it can make a huge difference in the way we live.
Yeah, so that is the beauty. See, basically what is happening in you when you think like that, what is happening is you are able to realize that I am part of a very small, I am actually a very small thing in the whole bigger plan of things, right? And your idea is to connect to that fountainhead, right? Then a child, for example, right? The child always knows the father is there to protect. Then everything becomes easy. Like, if you simply show a child from very, very difficult to imagine this. But if you put a child from the 15th floor or 20th floor, you hold a child, and then from the balcony you show it outside. Do you think the child is going to be, the child will be giggling, right? But if I have to be held like that outside the balcony from the 20th floor, I will be crying so much. But the child will be very happy. You can see not why to you throw a child up like that, right? Some people do that. We should not do that, but people do that. And then the child goes one little above and then comes back, and then child will be laughing. But if they were to do that for you and me, we'll be scared out of our life. Why? Because the child knows the father or whoever is actually catching me, like, I have nothing to worry. The same thing, if we are able to understand that, this is all, I have no role to play here. I am just simply a tool in the hand of the Lord. You just do your job. Krishna will take care of everything. That mood will slowly come. Now, as we do and you see success, right? You understand, yes, this is what is the reality. This is practical yoga, connecting with the Lord. Very nice realization, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Prabhu, I really do want to ask, I did want to ask last time as well, maybe a statement, right? And I just want to dwell on this a little more to understand this better. Two statements. So first statement is, when I'm at peace, right, I'm a better person. So that's, personal experience, I think more about God. I want to do a little more. I'm not talking about donations, charity, no, nothing. You're in bliss. You feel the connectedness to God. And that happens when some of your materialistic needs are taken care of. Somehow, because otherwise that thought is, you're thinking about all that, there's overpowering in your head and so on and so forth. Or maybe it's a balance. I'm not understanding that. I'm still getting there through experiences.
Yes.
The second thing that I've understood is, it's very, very clear in my life, in my little that I've lived now, that materialistic things do not give happiness. Very clear statement. But the lack of it gives unhappiness. I'm not sure if I made it clear. Materialistic things definitely don't give happiness, very clear. Yes. But the lack of it gives a little bit of unhappiness. How far is it true, or is it the way we look at things?
Yes. So, yeah, this is a good point, and this is applicable for those who have and those who don't have also. Right? And that means those who have everything, but still they will still feel a sense of unhappiness. Can you think of whoever is the richest man, Elon Musk or whoever it is? Do you think he's very happy all in his life? There is not, right? And the pauper who has nothing, he's also unhappy. Now look at the other side of it. The Elon Musk also has some happiness in some point in time. The pauper also has some happiness during. Have you seen, when you see on the roadside, some people have completely dirty body, they don't have anything, but they are actually smiling, like hitting each other in a smiley way, whatever. So that is a state of mind. State of mind, because our identification with that is the problem. See, for example, when you say, when I have everything, I feel happy. I feel comfortable, I can think of a lot. That is because we are identifying with that material thing. Now, at that very same second, you get to, assuming you like to hear music, immediately switch to your kirtan. You will actually realize you are enjoying that, because that is your constitutional position. So it's just that we are allowing ourselves to be in a state of Maya. Maya means that which is not. When you identify with that thing as material, you being material and you are connected with that material thing. This is actually you are not material, you are spiritual. But the minute you are able to connect to your devotional service in terms of switching to a nice kirtan, immediately that will go.
Very nice, very nice.
And this is experience. Once you experience more and more, you will actually be fully situated in that state. This is basically what Krishna said in the second chapter. If you realize, Krishna is talking about developing a higher taste at which point in time your taste for lower taste goes away. Your interest for lower taste goes away. That means devotional service is basically related to spirit, which is the original you. Because when you are doing something with your originality, that is your actual state, right? Your natural state. But if you are doing something in your artificial state, that's always difficult. Now, the minute you start developing yourself in your original state, you are in bliss. Like, for example, people say, right, you are a great artist. You feel happiness while doing that artist, but you may not get a lot of money. But if you ask that guy, he will say, what is happiness to you? He will say, for me, happiness is drawing, doing this nice drawing, not being film artist. You take, no? Some people, they make wonderful commercial hit movies, but they will say, actually, I want to do art movie. Why? Because acting is more important to him, but money is a side product which attracts. But his core is lying in the acting. That means money is not the point. He's connected with being happiness. What gives him is happiness. But this money is a evil which is sort of pushed by ourselves in our mind. Left to yourself, you would want to explore your own independent taste in life. Like, that's why you are telling a child today, right? You should explore what you want to do in life. Don't try to become an MBA because I am an MBA.
True.
What does that mean in a spiritual context? Yourself is actually a soul. Try to be as a soul. Don't try to force yourself because my neighbor has got a BMW. I don't care. So this will come, and the more you are doing nice art film, that actor in you is very happy. In a spiritual context, I am actually very happy in a spiritual activity. And the more you do, that fellow will say, I don't want a lot of money here. I want to simply enjoy my acting. And similar status, I simply want to enjoy my original state rather than artificial, because this title will go. How long I will hold my VP post? Till I am 60. After that, I walk into my office, that watchman will not allow me. One who saluted me will not allow me. Right?
Very true.
So then the idea is, yes, but I can't simply leave out my position in my, not practical. But as I slowly develop this taste, I won't even bother. It doesn't matter for me after a point in time.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Nice, Prabhu. Because the idea of all this is to actually take real life lessons, right? You know, sometimes we disassociate spirituality from real life, but I'm very happy when you bring in these questions, because how do we relate in our real life? Very nice.
Absolutely, Prabhu. You know, I think Nimi and we talk about it. You know, we go out, we do different things. All 7 days, we're all busy in so many different ways, right? But this 2 hours, we absolutely forget everything, right? And it's such a that kirtan of whatever, half an hour, 45 minutes is absolute bliss, right? So I don't know what it is, but it's definitely divine. Yeah. So thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I know it's a long time for you, 6:30 to 8:30, but you have been patient to stand in. Hare Krishna. Okay. So we will again meet up next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful Krishna conscious week. Keep connecting, to devotional life. Whoever can join for chanting, whoever can join for reading, whatever you can join, or think of Krishna in office. Everything is actually spiritual. So take care. Hare Krishna. All the best. Thank you very much. Devotees in YouTube, thank you very much.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.